I'd like to welcome everybody to the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting. It's Tuesday, February the 18th at 7 p.m., and I welcome those in the gallery as well. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none. You have the agenda. You've had a chance to read through it. Are there any additions you'd like to make the agenda? Seeing none, then, we have a recommendation that the agenda for February the 18th, 2025 meeting of council be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Nordoff, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, you've had the opportunity to read through the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, then, we have a recommendation that the minutes of the Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting held on February the 3rd, 2025 be adopted as printed. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will now move into the Committee of Adjustment. We have a recommendation that we convene as the Committee of Adjustment at 7:01 p.m. Could I have a mover? Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. The purpose of the upcoming Committee of Adjustment and public meeting is to provide Council, the Committee of Adjustment, and the general public an opportunity to hear from all interested parties regarding the application being discussed this evening. The public is advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. In respect to the Committee of Adjustment application, only the applicant or a public body can appeal a Committee of Adjustment decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. This must be filed within 20 days from the date of decision. In respect to the public meeting application, if a person or public body does not speak to the application at the public meeting or make written submission to the township, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the council decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal or be added as a party to an appeal of the decision to the tribunal. If you wish to be notified of the decision in writing, please submit a written request to our clerk, Michael Barnier. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the application for consent B01-2023, requesting an amendment to a condition. The owner is Rysam Farms Limited, care of Mike Sanders, and the agent John Barrett and Ashley Podlinski from Mackenzie Lake Lawyers. The property in question is 1040 Melwood Drive. So I don't know if we have.
Ann Sanders.
Okay, so we've got Mike and Ann Sanders zooming in, and that's good. And John Barnett just arrived. Okay, just in time, John. We're a little quicker off the mark tonight. Okay, so at this time, I'll turn the meeting over to our planner, Ashley Sawyer.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair Clark. So the subject lands have a municipal address of 1040 Melwood Drive. They're located on the north side of Melwood Drive, east of Sexton Road, and they are located in a prime agricultural area. They do currently contain a single detached dwelling, 2 accessory structures which are to be demolished as a condition of the consent, as well as an old barn that will be demolished as well as a condition of the consent. Surrounding uses are predominantly agricultural in nature. So this application is regarding amending a condition of consent B1-2023, which was a surplus farm dwelling severance that was conditionally approved by the committee on March 20th, 2023 to sever approximately 3.5 acres of land from an existing 100-acre farm parcel. So the Planning Act does permit for the committee to amend conditions prior to the consent being finalized. Specifically for this application, the agent has requested that the drainage assessment condition be removed, as it has been confirmed by the drainage superintendent to not be necessary. At the time of the original consent decision, it wasn't explicitly clear whether or not a drain assessment was required due to an in-progress engineer's report in the neighboring municipality of Brook Alvinston. As such, the wording of the condition was left rather vague. However, as noted, the drainage superintendent has confirmed that the assessment is not currently required. So notice of intent to amend the condition was circulated to the prescribed agencies and neighboring property owners within 60 meters of the property. No comments or concerns were noted prior to the submission of my report. And I will note that the other conditions of consent still remain in effect. It's strictly just to remove the drainage condition. And staff are of the opinion that the requested amendment is generally administrative and minor in nature, and that the removal of this condition is appropriate and reasonable. So I will just note that if this condition is removed, it does effectively restart the 2-year period to fulfill consent conditions in accordance with Section 53 of the Planning Act, subsection 24. And my recommendation is that this request be granted in accordance with Section 53, subsection 24 of the Planning Act. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Does the applicant wish to make any comments, or your agent? Just come up to the mic, please, John. No, that one works here. That one's good. Oh, it's not. Okay. There we go.
Thanks. Just briefly, through you, Ms. Mayor, the reason that we're actually applying for to amend the conditions is that we've had a tenant that we haven't been able to get out of the property. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be removed, and we wanted to make sure that we follow the correct procedures under landlord tenant board, so that we're not, just throwing some guy's stuff in the trash without following all due process. And so we applied for this change in the condition with the full intent of having some more time allowed for us. We're anticipating that probably be another 6 months to finalize this consent, and to allow us to follow all the proper channels in terms of dealing with the tenant. So just a little background there for you. Otherwise, it seems a little bit crazy that we're going through all this trouble just to take care of this drainage consent, or just drainage reassessment. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Does council have any questions? I actually have a question. So under condition E, which is a current condition that still has to be met. So is the tenant actually living in there right now and the house is habitable, or it will be brought up? That will be one of the conditions to be met later.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the reasons for this is that, there's a roof on it. There seems to be a heat source, but there'll need to be some work done to brought it up to what I would call a habitable condition, but that'll all depend on the chief building official's opinion as well. But yeah, the property is going to be improved as soon as the tenant is legally evicted.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councilor McKinnon?
Through you, Mayor Sue, to Jonathan. Jonathan, so removing condition 9, just clarify for me, there's a new report being made right now or prepared in Brook Galveston. So if it was found that, is that why we're removing 9?
Well, we're removing condition 9 because it was one that the condition wasn't necessary for this severance. It was just on there because it might have been necessary.
Okay.
And so we just needed to pick a condition that we could amend to restart our clock. We're doing this, but really we want this. It's
Okay.
going through the correct procedures in doing so.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the gallery that has any questions or would like to speak to this application?
Yeah,
Just come up to the mic and identify yourself,
I
please,
really
Bill.
couldn't hear these people here. The acoustics are terrible. Oh, okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay,
and just identify yourself if you don't.
yeah,
mind, please.
okay, my question was, did you not want to drain that? Or like the severed part off, like why would they not assess that on the drain? Isn't that what
Ashley, do you want to speak to that?
So originally when that condition was imposed, that original engineer's report was still in progress. So they weren't sure that it was going to be needed or not. But upon further evaluation, it's been determined by the drainage superintendent that there's not going to be back to the assessed drain there. So they don't need that condition in the severance.
there's not going to be a drain there?
Not an impact to the existing drain.
Oh, no, it's no impact to it,
Right.
but I wondered, like, when they assess the drain, like repairs and stuff like that, why, like he'd be draining into that, why wouldn't he not be liable for his share of the repairs.
So the farmer that owns the retained land will still be responsible, but they've determined that this severed parcel won't be affected by a reassessment or need a reassessment.
I know, but why? That's what I'm getting at. Because he's drained into that. If he wants to drain, that's where it goes. So why would he not be?
Just in accordance with what the drainage superintendent has evaluated, I can certainly have him follow up. with
Yeah, I
you.
wonder why he
Yeah.
would say that.
Yeah, he's read the reports and all of that sort of thing, so it's his professional opinion that I'm relying on, but I can have him follow up with you. if you'd
Yeah,
like.
okay, okay.
Yeah, okay, I'll just need your information.
Yeah, okay.
Just get you to write it down.
You just want my name and address, is it?
Or phone numbers.
Oh, okay, I better, because I have so much trouble understanding
Okay.
back here.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill.
Yeah, so just to add to that, we do rely on our engineers for input, and it's obviously been assessed or evaluated that there's no impact there. I'll ask the clerk to speak to that as well.
Yeah, through the mayor, to answer that question, so they're completing an entire new report on the drain in Brook Alvinston, so this property will get captured. And the new boundary will be captured under that full report through Brook Alvinston.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the specific drainage reassessment wasn't required in this case. Because they're doing a report now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
but they will.
They'll capture this
Yeah.
property
Because
as well.
sooner or later, I think he's going to want to drain
Of
it.
course, it will be reassessed
Yeah.
and that specific new parcel will be a portion.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was curious why that.
Yep, no, it's a good question.
Yeah, okay.
That's a great question, Bill. Thank you for bringing that up.
And you know my question then. Yeah.
Yep, yeah, I'll just-
Okay, are there any other questions or comments from council? Or anyone else? Okay, seeing that we have none, we have a recommendation that the
very clear.
request to remove condition number 9 from consent application B01-2023 be granted in accordance with section 5323 of the Planning Act. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Nordoff, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, seeing as that's it for the Committee of Adjustment, we have a recommendation that council adjourn the Committee of Adjustment meeting at 7:13 PM. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll now go back into our public meeting, and that too is at 7:13 PM. We have a recommendation that council convene into public meeting at 7:13. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, the next application is for a zoning bylaw amendment Z01-2025. And it's the same property, owner Rice and Farms Limited, care of Mike Sanders. Once again, the agent is John Barnett and Ashley Podlinski from Mackenzie Lake Lawyers, and the property under discussion is 1040 Melwood Drive again. So I'll turn this over to you now, Ashley. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Clark. So this application is for a zoning bylaw amendment to fulfill a condition of consent B1 2023, which does require that the severed parcel of the consent be rezoned from the general agricultural zone to a surplus dwelling zone, and that the retained parcel be rezoned from the general agricultural zone to an agriculture only zone. No site-specific zoning relief is being requested for either the severed parcel or the retained parcel. So the severed parcel of the consent currently contains a single detached dwelling, which will remain, the 2 accessory structures, and the unoccupied barn that will be demolished as a condition of the consent. And the retained parcel contains lands for agricultural crop production and is vacant of any structures. So lot creation in prime agricultural areas is generally discouraged by the province and only permitted for a very limited number of reasons, one of which is a surplus farm dwelling severance. As a condition of the approval, the provincial planning statement, the Middlesex County official plan, and Adelaide Metcalfe official plan require that this remnant farmland be rezoned to prohibit residential dwellings, and the Adelaide Metcalfe official plan specifically requires that the severed parcel be rezoned to prohibit the raising of livestock. So the application was circulated to the required agencies and property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands and in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, and it was posted on the subject lands. No concerns were noted by the Building Department, Public Works Department, or the Conservation Authority. Middlesex County Emergency Services did note that 911 addressing must be approved for the parcels and that signage must be posted. And no comments were received by the public prior to the submission of my report. So staff are satisfied that the zoning bylaw amendment is appropriate and consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to the official plans in question. All other conditions imposed by the consent still apply. This is just to address one of those conditions. And my recommendation is that my report be received for information and that the associated implementing bylaw be approved and read a first, second, and third and final time this evening.
Okay, are there any questions for Ashley? That's pretty straightforward, but if there are, please speak up. Okay, seeing that we have none, that we have a recommendation that council receive the report for information for zoning bylaw amendment Z01-2025, which proposes to rezone the severed parcel of consent B01-2023 to surplus dwelling zone and the retained parcel of consent B01-2023 to agricultural only zone. And further, that the associated implementing bylaw be approved and read a first, second, third, and final time in open council. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have a recommendation that council adjourn the public meeting at 7:16 p.m. and reconvene into our regular session of council. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is the consent agenda. Is there anything that you want pulled out of there? Okay, seeing none then, we have a recommendation that items A8 through AE listed under the heading of consent agenda for February 18th, 2025 be adopted as recommended. Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the correspondence. We have a request to support a resolution from the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus regarding trade tariff negotiations. Is there any desire to support that? Okay, next up is 9B, a resolution from the town of Cobourg requesting support for municipal restructuring study. Very interesting read. Okay. We have a recommendation that council receive and file correspondence items 9A and 9B. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we are going to go into our closed session and we'll return after for our staff reports for anybody watching. Yeah. So we have a recommendation that council adjourn to closed session at 7:18 p.m. pursuant to section 2 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters: a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, consolidated industrial lands, the security of the property of the municipality or local board, the security of a municipal property. So could I have a mover to go into close? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor, and that's carried.